Welcome back, everyone, to the Deep Dive, where we dive deep into the most important news stories of the day.
Trying to figure out, what it all means for you and for the world, really.
So let's get right into it.
Yeah, let's jump in.
The markets this week,
Yeah.
tech stocks, a little bit of a tumble. Goldman Sachs is out there saying, buy the dip.
Buy the dip.
Is this a smart move, or is this
Well, Goldman
a
Sachs,
piggy gamble?
Goldman's always got their eye on, the big picture. And so what they're basically saying is this is a chance to get in on some of these tech giants.
At a discount.
At a discount, right. And they're looking at that $1 trillion wipeout we saw on Monday.
Yeah.
A lot of that fueled by, AI anxieties.
Right. Yeah.
And saying, this is probably temporary. This isn't a sign of the end of times for tech.
Right.
So it's a buying opportunity.
So they're not just saying, hey, buy anything that's on sale. They're saying specifically target these tech companies.
Right. They're saying, tech is where it's at.
What's the logic there?
Well, I think their recommendation implies a belief in the long-term value and growth potential of the tech sector.
They think it's going to keep going up.
Yeah, they think it's going to bounce back and that, this is just a little blip.
All right. So that's a gamble, though, right? I mean, not all dips. Yeah.
Of course it's a gamble. I mean, investing's always a gamble, right?
Right.
That's why you got to understand what's driving these market fluctuations,
Yeah, there's other factors.
Weigh the potential rewards against the risk.
Okay, so tech stocks are on the radar. Let's talk oil prices.
Mm-hmm.
This week, they fell after U.S. crude supplies actually rose.
Yeah.
First time in 10 weeks. Should we be worried about gas prices going up again?
I don't think we need to panic yet.
Okay.
1 week of increase, doesn't mean we're seeing a total reversal of that downward trend that we've been seeing.
So you're saying we got to see if it's a blip or the start of a new trend.
Exactly. If it, decline in those inventories resumes, we're probably not going to see gas prices suddenly surge.
Right.
But if it keeps going up, that could be a sign that the, supply is tightening. And then, yeah, maybe we start to see some pain at the pump.
Okay. Well, I think we're all hoping that doesn't happen.
Yeah. Fingers crossed.
Let's shift gears a little bit and talk about the Trump administration.
Yeah. Always a lot going on there.
There's a lot going on.
Yeah.
It feels like every day there's a new headline.
Well, this week, on the one hand, we've got the Federal Reserve.
Mm-hmm.
They seem to be taking a very cautious approach, trying to steer clear of any direct conflict with the administration.
But on the other hand, the Trump administration is pushing forward with some pretty big policy changes.
Oh, yeah. I mean, they're making moves for sure.
They are. For example, offering buyouts to nearly all federal workers.
Yeah, that's a big one.
Which is interesting considering at the same time they're facing these legal battles.
Right.
Over attempts to freeze certain federal funds.
Yeah, so it seems like they're trying to reshape that federal workforce, while also asserting more control over government spending.
So how are these actions being received?
Well, there's definitely a pushback.
Yeah.
Those legal challenges highlight the concerns, right? About, their attempts to freeze those funds. And then with the buyouts, I mean, that could be appealing to some.
Right.
But you also worry about losing experience.
Losing those people.
Right. Within the government.
Right. So it sounds like a balancing act.
Yeah, a delicate one.
With some long-term consequences we're going to have to keep our eye on.
Exactly. It's one to watch for sure.
Absolutely. Okay, now speaking of controversial moves, Trump media is making some waves in the financial world.
Oh, yeah, they're making headlines.
They are. Their stock is surging after they announced that expansion into financial services, including crypto and ETFs. What do you think's behind this surge?
Well, the move into financial services, particularly with, their Truth.fi brand that's coming out, that seems to be attracting investors. There's definitely a segment of the market that, is very bullish on anything Trump related.
Sure.
And then you've got that, the crypto enthusiasts. So you put those two together.
Yeah.
And that seems to be driving that upward momentum.
But is it a wise investment?
Oh, that's a tough question. It's still very early for Trump media in this, in the financial sector. They've had a good run. But, anytime you're dealing with a new venture, especially in a volatile market like crypto, there's always risk.
Right. So it sounds like investors are really weighing the potential reward against the uncertainty.
Exactly. It's a classic high-risk, high-reward scenario.
All right, so let's move beyond the U.S. now.
Okay.
What's happening on the international stage?
Well, we're seeing this brewing trade war between the U.S. and Canada.
Really?
That's making headlines. Trump's proposed 25% tariff on Canadian imports has a lot of people concerned. The Bank of Canada has already taken action. They've cut rates in anticipation of potential fallout.
A rate cut? That's a pretty significant response.
Yeah, it shows how seriously they're taking this. They're trying to cushion the blow from these tariffs.
They're trying to get ahead of it.
Exactly. They're hoping to stimulate their economy,
Okay.
counter any negative effects that this trade war might have.
So mitigate the damage.
Yeah, it underscores the potential for some pretty serious consequences,
Oh.
This is a trade dispute that could have ripple effects, throughout the global economy.
Yeah, so it sounds like things are really heating up between the U.S. and Canada.
Definitely tense.
Yeah.
We'll have to see how it plays out.
This could have ripple effects for everyone.
For sure.
Yeah.
Businesses, consumers on both sides of the border.
We'll have to keep a close eye on that story for sure. Now let's zoom in on a situation that's causing some concern on a global scale. The Panama Canal.
Yeah.
Tensions are rising there.
Yeah, there's a lot of disagreement,
Yep.
over trade and security policies.
And what's particularly alarming is that we're seeing U.S. maritime officials, warning that all options are on the table.
Yeah, that's a little ominous.
It is. What are the potential implications of this situation, and why should our listeners care?
Well, the Panama Canal is a vital shipping route, for global trade.
Right.
So any disruption to its operations, whether it's political disputes or, other factors that could send shockwaves through the global supply chain,
Wow.
we could see delays in shipments, increased transportation costs, and ultimately, higher prices for consumers worldwide.
So this seemingly regional conflict could have global consequences.
Absolutely. The Panama Canal is like a major artery, for international commerce. So any threat to its smooth functioning, could really disrupt businesses and economies on a global scale.
It's a good reminder of how interconnected our world really is.
Yeah, for sure.
And how these seemingly isolated events can have these far-reaching impacts.
Yeah.
Now let's shift gears to a topic that's a little closer to home, literally. There's been talk about eliminating the penny here in the U.S.
Yeah.
Interesting proposition.
It is. There was a study in 2023 that found that rounding prices to the nearest nickel wouldn't really have any, significant inflationary consequences.
So no more digging for pennies in the couch cushions. But are there downsides to getting rid of the penny?
Well, some people argue that it could disproportionately affect, low-income consumers who rely on that precise pricing.
Right.
There's also concerns about businesses rounding prices up, more often than they round them down,
Right.
which could lead to, a subtle but, cumulative increase in costs.
And then, of course, there's the sentimental value
Oh, yeah.
that a lot of people attach to the penny.
For many people, it's a piece of history. It evokes nostalgia.
Right.
Getting rid of it would mean saying goodbye to a small but familiar part of our lives.
It seems like a small change, but it could have a ripple effect on everything from our wallets to our collective memory. We'll have to see how that debate unfolds.
Yeah, it's a fascinating one to watch for sure.
So we've covered a lot of ground in this first segment.
We have.
From market fluctuations and trade wars to the fate of the penny, it's clear that today's news is just filled with complexity and potential consequences.
Yeah, it's a lot to process, but, by delving into those nuances and really exploring how interconnected all these events are, we can hopefully get a clearer understanding of the world around us.
Exactly. And that's what we're trying to do here on the Deep Dive.
Absolutely. Let's dig a little deeper into the Trump administration's agenda. They're facing those legal challenges over attempts to freeze funding for certain federal programs.
It seems like they're really targeting programs related to immigration, foreign aid, and climate change.
Yeah. Their argument is that these programs need a thorough review,
Right.
to make sure they're efficient and that they align with their policy priorities. But of course, critics see this as a way to undermine initiatives that don't really fit with their ideological stance.
So it's a controversial move with some pretty big potential implications, for the future of these areas. All right, let's switch gears a little bit. Talk about T-Mobile. They just released their fourth quarter earnings report, and their stock is soaring.
Yeah, they're doing really well. Their performance exceeded expectations.
Wow.
Strong net customer additions, and they've got really robust guidance for 2025. They're projecting postpaid net customer additions between 5.5 and 6 million.
That's impressive.
Yeah.
Especially considering, the state of the economy right now. What do you think's driving this success?
Well, it seems like their continuous investment in their network infrastructure and, expanding that customer base is paying off.
Makes sense.
They've also positioned themselves strategically in the market,
Hmm.
offering competitive plans and attracting, a lot of new subscribers.
So they've really managed to kind of navigate this volatile market pretty effectively.
Yeah, I mean, their proactive approach and, strategic decisions seem to have insulated them from some of the headwinds that other companies are facing.
All right, well, on the other end of the spectrum, we've got Victoria's Secret
Yeah.
facing some challenges. Their stock is declining, even though they just brought in a new CFO, a retail veteran.
Yeah, it seems like they're struggling to connect with that changing consumer base, one that's more price conscious and, prioritizing essential spending.
So it sounds like they're really feeling the pressure of the economy.
Right, and the shifting consumer preferences.
So they're going to have to adapt.
Yeah, they need to figure out how to cater to those evolving needs and demands. Their current approach just doesn't seem to be resonating in today's economic landscape.
It's a tough market out there for a lot of companies.
Yeah, for sure.
Speaking of tough markets, Starbucks just released their first quarter earnings for 2025, and the results aren't quite as stellar as we've seen in the past.
Yeah, they're seeing a bit of a slowdown. Both their revenue and net profit have declined.
So what factors do you think are contributing to this?
Well, I think increased competition from other coffee chains, independent cafes.
Yeah.
Changing consumer preferences and rising operating costs are all probably playing a role. They're also under pressure to innovate, come up with new products to stay relevant in this crowded market.
So it sounds like the retail landscape is becoming even more competitive.
Oh, absolutely. Companies are having to constantly adapt and evolve to stay ahead of the curve.
And it sounds like T-Mobile's a good example of a company that's doing that effectively.
Yeah, they're definitely a company to watch.
All right, let's move from coffee to high finance. Norway's sovereign wealth fund, which is the world's largest, just reported a record annual profit of $222 billion.
Yeah, that's an amazing number.
It is. That's huge. What's behind that?
Well, a lot of it was driven by, the strong performance of the tech sector,
Oh, interesting.
which they've invested in pretty heavily.
So even with all this global economic uncertainty, there are still, pockets of growth and profitability out there.
Exactly. It just highlights the importance of diversification and making those strategic investment decisions,
Yeah.
They bet big on tech and it paid off.
It did. And speaking of betting big on tech, BlackRock's Rick Ryder has been buying up certain tech stocks during this recent downturn.
Yeah, he's definitely taking a contrarian approach, seeing this as a buying opportunity,
Interesting.
focusing on companies with strong fundamentals, long-term growth potential.
So he thinks they're going to bounce back.
He's betting on it. He thinks the market has overreacted and that these companies are undervalued.
It's a calculated risk, but it could pay off big.
We'll have to see.
All right, let's turn our attention to the airline industry.
Okay.
Frontier Airlines has proposed a merger with Spirit Airlines again.
Yeah, this is their second attempt, and Spirit has rejected it again.
Wow, so they're persistent. Why do you think they're so interested in this merger?
Well, Frontier sees this as a way to create a stronger, more competitive, low-cost airline, combining resources networks,
Right.
achieve economies of scale, expand their market reach.
So it's the power.
Yeah, trying to consolidate their position in this really competitive industry. But, Spirit's reluctance suggests that they've got some concerns about the terms of the merger.
They're not quite sold on it.
Exactly. They might be worried about antitrust issues or, diluting their brand or even losing control over their operations.
It's a big decision.
Yeah, it's a lot at stake for both companies.
All right, let's switch gears again.
Okay.
U.S. Bancorp just announced Gunjan Kedia as their new CEO.
Yeah, that's big news.
It is. This makes her the first woman to lead the company.
It's a landmark appointment, a significant step for gender diversity in the financial sector.
It's about time.
Yeah, breaking that glass ceiling in a traditionally male-dominated industry.
Absolutely. It's a positive step towards, greater representation and inclusivity.
And her expertise and experience, will be invaluable in navigating this complex world of finance.
Right. It sends a powerful message that competence and leadership, transcend gender. All right, so back to the Trump administration. The Pentagon has taken the unusual step of lashing out at retired General Milley and revoking his security detail.
Yeah, this is unprecedented,
What do you think is going on here?
Well, it seems like there are some disagreements over military strategy and policy decisions.
Okay.
Concerns about some of Milley's public statements that were critical of the administration.
Right.
So this really looks like a retaliatory measure, aimed at silencing dissent and consolidating their control over the military.
So they're not tolerating any opposition even from respected figures within the military.
It's definitely a concerning development, raises questions about, their commitment to free speech and dissent. It suggests they might be prioritizing loyalty and conformity over open dialogue.
So a little bit alarming.
Definitely a situation to watch.
Okay, so let's shift our focus across the Atlantic. Germany just slashed its economic growth forecast for 2025 to a mere 0.3%.
Yeah, not good.
That's a big downgrade.
It is. It's a really pessimistic outlook, and it signals growing concern about the health of, Europe's largest economy.
So what's driving this gloomy forecast?
Well, they're pointing to global economic headwinds, rising energy costs, stemming from those geopolitical tensions and, those lingering supply chain disruptions.
So it sounds like Germany is bracing for a tough year.
Yeah, and, if Germany goes into recession, that could have ripple effects throughout the entire Eurozone, potentially impacting the global economy. So it's a situation that deserves close attention.
When Germany sneezes, the rest of the world catches a cold.
That's right.
Right, so it's not just national economies that are feeling the pressure.
Right.
The luxury goods sector is also showing some signs of vulnerability.
Yeah. Shares of LVMH, the world's largest luxury goods company, dropped 5% after they released their full-year results. And it's kind of raising doubts about the pace of recovery for that sector.
So even the wealthy are feeling a little bit uncertain.
It seems so. The luxury market is often seen as a barometer of economic confidence. So this dip in LVMH's shares suggests that even those with disposable income are being a bit more cautious.
It seems like no industry is immune to these global economic challenges.
That's the reality of a globalized economy.
All right, well, let's end on a slightly more positive note. The UK government is making a significant investment in space exploration.
Yeah, they're investing £20 million in Orbex, a Scottish space flight startup.
That's cool.
It is. It shows the UK's commitment to fostering innovation and competing in this, rapidly evolving space industry.
So they're looking to the future.
Exactly. And these investments, they drive technological advancements, but they also create opportunities for economic growth and job creation.
It's a smart move.
It is. It's a bold step towards, securing a place for the UK in the space race.
All right, now let's talk about something that's been generating a lot of buzz lately: artificial intelligence. Sam Altman, the CEO of OpenAI, has been hinting at a new collaboration with Microsoft.
Yeah, he posted a picture with Satya Nadella, the CEO of Microsoft.
Oh, I saw that.
Teasing a major announcement that has everyone in the tech world talking.
And their partnership has already produced some pretty impressive results. Like integrating ChatGPT into Microsoft's Bing search engine.
Right, that was a game changer.
It really was.
Yeah.
So what could they possibly be cooking up now?
Well, the possibilities are pretty much endless.
Right.
But a lot of people are speculating that they might be developing an even more advanced AI system.
Wow.
Something that could revolutionize industries from healthcare and education to finance and entertainment.
So we're talking about a potential major leap forward in AI.
Potentially, yeah. It's both exciting and a little bit daunting,
Right.
It could solve some of the world's biggest problems, but it also raises concerns about ethics and job displacement.
It's a powerful technology that needs to be handled responsibly.
Absolutely. We need to have open and honest conversations about how to develop and deploy AI in a way that benefits everyone.
Now, on the other side of the AI spectrum, there are some concerns about a Chinese startup, DeepSeek, that's making waves.
Yeah, DeepSeek's rapid advancement has rattled some investors,
Really?
leading to a sell-off in tech stocks, particularly those involved in AI development.
So they're seen as a threat.
They're a disruptor for sure. They've introduced a new level of competition in the global AI race.
But it's not just a technological race, it's a geopolitical and economic one as well.
Exactly. And the emergence of players like DeepSeek just adds another layer of complexity to this already dynamic field.
We are living in interesting times.
We are, that's for sure.
Well, we've covered a lot of ground in this segment, from corporate earnings to trade wars to artificial intelligence. It's a lot to process, but hopefully it's given our listeners a better understanding of the forces that are shaping our world.
And hopefully it sparks some interesting conversations,
Absolutely. So keep those conversations going, folks. We'll be back soon with more deep dives into the news that matters most. We've explored a lot of really pressing issues today, from those market swings and trade wars to the, ever-evolving world of AI. But before we wrap things up, I want to touch on one more story, and it involves a figure who's no stranger to controversy, Robert F. Kennedy Jr.
Yeah, his nomination by the Trump administration to lead Health and Human Services has definitely stirred up a lot of debate. you know?
Yeah, it's safe to say it's a controversial choice.
Hmm.
His stance on vaccines and, other health-related issues has drawn criticism from, both sides of the aisle.
Yeah, his confirmation hearing is going to be one to watch for sure.
It is. What kind of impact do you think this could have on healthcare policy?
Well, the outcome of this hearing could have some
It's a really complex issue with very strong opinions on both sides.
It is. And it really highlights how important it is to rely on, scientific evidence and to have these informed public discussions about, critical health matters.
Yeah, these are conversations that we need to be having.
Absolutely.
So speaking of healthcare policy, there's been a new development regarding the Trump administration's order to freeze certain healthcare funding.
Right. A federal judge has temporarily put a hold on that order,
Oh, wow.
which was supposed to stop the issuing of federal grants and loans for healthcare programs.
Mhm.
They said it was pending further review by the administration, but this legal challenge really shows the concerns that people have about, the administration's attempts to control healthcare spending.
So it seems like the administration is facing some pushback on multiple fronts.
Yeah, definitely. Both domestically and internationally, their policies are being challenged in the courts. Their trade tactics are causing tensions, globally, and their appointments are, fueling these heated public debates.
It's definitely a tumultuous time.
It is, and the impact of these events, it's far-reaching.
So we've covered a lot of ground today, from analyzing market trends and political maneuvering to exploring the transformative power of technology and the complexities of healthcare policy.
Yeah, it's been a really in-depth look at the most pressing issues of the day. And, I think it highlights how interconnected everything is.
It really does.
And how, these actions have these ripple effects.
Absolutely.
And hopefully by, diving into the details and looking at all these different perspectives, we can gain a more nuanced understanding of, everything that's shaping our world.
And that's really the goal of the deep dive.
Exactly.
We want to equip our listeners with, the knowledge and insights to navigate these complex times.
It's about staying informed, staying engaged, asking questions, seeking knowledge, and participating in the conversations that matter.
That's right. So until next time, stay curious and stay informed.
We'll see you then.